Hello everyone! We are live yet again, and this is one of my authors' chats of the week on the TikTok app. This may be the last one I do on this platform, and if that is indeed the case, I will be trying to, we'll see how it goes, attempting to switch this kind of live chat function over to Instagram. So you can find me there and continue to follow these live chats on that platform, if that be the case. Though, of course, like everybody in the book talk community, we hope this place stays on for a while yet. And I will give it a moment to let this platform notify anybody who's going to be trying to join in, as well as I'll keep my eye out for my co-host for the week. And then we'll get things going. Let's see if she sees my invite. I see that she's on here. And we'll be talking about books, writing, publishing, and everything in between, as I always do on these. But yeah, it's been a stressful week. So if anybody else is out there who feels the same, I'm with you. I am absolutely with you. It has been crazy trying to figure out what to do next week if things do change. And I know I've been coming up with various alternatives and new approaches that I'm going to attempt going forward, but we shall see. Okay, I'm going to see if she sees my invite or not. This is my first time that this particular co-host and I will be chit-chatting on this platform, though I've met her in person before, which is fantastic. But we'll see if she sees that I'm up and running, and we'll get things going. But I know some of the things that I've been doing that are new is that I just launched a Discord, because I personally have never really utilized that platform, but knowing that the ban was coming our way, I kind of wanted to be precautionary and come up with a space that people, if they wanted to come and just talk about my books, continue with these questions of the day chats, and go on from there. Hello, hello.
Hey,
How are you?
good. How are you?
Good. It's been a little while since it's both been a while and a blink of an eye since Author Nation.
Yes, all of that. Yes. And it seems like it's been that way for literally everything.
Yes. Absolutely. And because I know when I come out of a big literary convention, it is wild because I come with like so many new ideas and I feel inspired, and there are so many things I want to tackle. And that's always great. But because I try to implement some of that stuff almost initially, because Author Nation happens in November, and I try to make my plans for the upcoming year, set in stone between December and January. But because of that, I feel like I work a lot those next 2 months.
Right. And it sucks because it's like the holidays are there. So then you've got like, I don't know if you're like where your family is, but my husband's in the military. So we are far away from our family. And so it's like people are coming down, people are wanting to visit, people are like, when are you coming home? And I'm like, listen, I got stuff to do. I don't have time to play tour guide for, a week while you come visit me. So,
Yeah, no, my husband's family lives in the New Orleans area, and I'm based out of Georgia, and so we kind of go back and forth depending on the holidays. So it's nice when it's a holiday that we stay close to home because I can get more work done. But traveling, it drops it down completely. But for anybody who doesn't know you, why don't you introduce yourself and what you kind of write and get involved with the bookish community about, and we'll go from there.
this is the hardest question to answer. Okay. My name is Nicolette. My pen name is Nicolette Terry. Terry's my maiden name. And I write romance. I'm mostly a romance author. One day, I think it would be really cool to write a romantasy, but I give my hats off to fantasy and romantasy writers because the things that you have to think of, like my brain just isn't there yet. I started off back, so I've been writing since I was a kid. Me and my best friend, we used to write stories. I think our earliest is like 9. And we would write these elaborate stories. We played Barbies. Okay, we're girls. And like we would spend more time on the backstory of our Barbies and like what they were doing than actually like playing it out. So that should have been an indicator early on that, okay, whatever. But I started writing fantasy as a child. Everybody was a fairy and a fae. Well, when you're little, they're fairies. And, they had magic and all of that stuff. And then as I got older, I realized that I was really bad at it. So then I was like, okay, well, let's write what I know. So right now I write romance. Eventually I really would, because I enjoy it. I love that world. I love those kinds of books. So I'd like to eventually write one. But I have officially published 2 full-length novels. I have a Christmas short story. I have a accompanying novella like a little novella that's online that I wrote that goes with my story. I have another short story that you can get for free. And then I have 2 more other short stories that are published in anthologies. So I'm working on my 3rd full-length novel, which, of course, all of those things and all those tidbits I learned in Author Nation. I have been implementing those instead of writing and drafting book 3. So book 3 has really gotten kind of pushed to the side because I was like, oh, wait, I need to do this. Oh, wait, I need to do... yes. So there's always that. I'm a military spouse. My husband and I have been together since we were in college. So we've been married... 14 years we've been married. That's a long time. Yeah, I put his butt on the bus to go to basic training, and I was like, okay, see you in 2 months, I guess. I don't know. It was his choice, not mine, and I was like, I can't believe you roped me into this. I don't know how this happened. You should have told me when, we started dating that you wanted to join the military. So then I could have been like, okay, see you later kind of thing. Or, at least have some sort of choice. Anyway. We currently live in Florida. We're stationed in Florida now, and we just got back from Germany. I have 2 cats that sit underneath my desk all the time. They're so far on my bum, 24/7. Yeah, did I answer it all? Did I?
Yeah, I think that was great. I was going to say a couple things. I love the fact that when you were talking about you always told stories and focused on backstories with your Barbies growing up. I did the same thing, but it was with Beanie Babies.
I don't think it mattered. It's the same thing. Well, and so I have gone live a couple times on here, and somebody commented once, I had to pull them out. I write romance, and it's steamy, and sometimes you need to know logistics, okay? And it has to be feasible. So I went and I dug these suckers out, and I was like, okay, this works because, they move, they're bendy. And I was like, I hoped that I would have a little girl that I could give all of these to, and I ended up with boys. I have 2 boys, so there's that.
That's the look at the draw. But here's another fun thing. It popped in my head because you were talking about how you write romance, but you're curious about romantasy. But with your backstory of being a military spouse, I wonder if that could be almost a core premise where maybe one of them is on our world, and the other one has to, for whatever reason, travel a lot to and from the Fae realm or something. And so you could write what you know about the experience of being the partner left behind and having to do all this stuff while the other character is off in the other realm doing it.
Yeah.
Not writing, but there you go. It's a twist on writing what you know.
Definitely. Well, so, and that's how, Rebecca Yarros. She has been, her and her husband, I think she was with her husband during his entire enlistment as well. She's a prior military spouse because her husband retired. And she wrote all of those all of the romance books. She's known for her romance. But then she did Fourth Wing, was first fantasy, and she did a really good job, obviously, with that. So who knows? Maybe that's...
Never know.
I don't know.
But, the point being is to have fun with it. Whatever genre or genres you choose to do is have fun with it. And I know it's been a challenge, definitely, trying to come from November and trying to, so some of the things I wanted to do heading into Author Nation, but also wanted to get a little more firm in concepts of exactly how I can do these things was launch a Discord, which I did last week, launch a Patreon, which I'm going to make officially known next week, and do some of these kind of foundational things but that does mean that my writing new material hasn't gone anywhere. I've just been editing and formatting stuff, but I'm not writing anything new since probably November.
Yeah, well, I had to write. I ran into a couple people who were like, "You're doing what? And why are you doing it that way? Like, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "Listen, I don't know. I'm in the process of making the mistakes so that I know better later." So really what happened this time in Author Nation was I got some really good advice from some people who know the business. And they were like, first of all, you got to figure out what you're doing, and you got to figure out a way to bring in like new readers. And I was like, "Oh, well, I already did that." And then it was Mal. She was like, "But did you? But did you?" And I was like, okay, fine. So I had to go back and I had to write a new reader magnet, and I had to go, back and look at my brand and make sure that I was keeping up with reader expectations. And that's like, I mean, that's basically like, that's a whole thing. And so I'm in the process of making sure that all of my stuff is cohesive and it's all the same and it all works together.
Yes. And for you being, still such a newbie author, I can't say it's easier, but it's better to do it at your time than it is because
when I have like 7, 8 books down and I'm like, "Oh, what did I do?" Yes, no, it's definitely the time. And I can tell you, I am making a ton of mistakes, but it's okay. I'm not even mad about it.
Yeah, no, I do that all the time. For instance, some of the things that I've been trying to do, similarly to you, is again tighten up the brand over the last few years. Try to give there's certain color themes and certain things when people see it, they think the same way. It really does matter. And I've been moving my books, or the goal has been for a while to move my books wide, but it has been such a long and slow process. Mind you, I've written a number of things, so everything just takes that much longer. So I'm hoping by the end of February, my ebooks for all of them will be wide.
That's amazing.
Most of my audio, I don't know about print yet because I'm still the big question mark of how to do that.
Yeah, that's a whole other beast is distributing. I mean, that's one of the big things that I've been trying to figure out as well, is like how printing, they don't all print the same. And I've had some issues because I have like images on my chapters. I have the chapter images on, and Ingram Sparks and Book Vault, they don't either. I need to get like a new paper width or something because they're very faded whenever I open the book. They don't look like I want them to. But Amazon prints them exactly the way I want them to do. And it's saturated, you can see them well. They're flowers because again, romance.
Yep.
And each one of my books has like a flower that goes along with the story. So, flowers mean things. And there are certain themes that go through each one of my books. They have, each one is like a different subgenre, big trope. So like second chance romance, billionaire, rock star. And so they all like fall into those, and each flower has follows that theme of what they're going through in each story. And so I have that flower on each chapter heading. And yeah, Amazon seems to be the only one that can print them the way that I want them to be printed. They're like nice, they look nice, and you can see them well. And I don't know if it's me just being picky or if people actually care. Like, do they care that one is more like faded than the other? And I
guess for me, it's wherever someone buys a book, that's the only experience with it. So they may not realize it's faded unless depending on how bad it is, unless you have both versions. But why would someone have one from Amazon and one from, a wide distributor? So it may not matter as much, but it irritates the authors to all get out. I get that. I do see someone saying never read romance books before, should give it a try. Hey, that's the thing. It's like, it never hurts to try. It may not be your genre, and you may fall in love with it. And I know for me, it's like every so often I'll read a genre that it's not one that I think about, and I've enjoyed the books. Romance is one of them. but I still go back to my tried and true fantasy. It just automatically happens every time. But
No, it's funny because I read most of the books, even the ones growing up. Like I was like The Mortal Instruments, Harry Potter. Like those are the books that I read as a kid, and I got into reading those. And even as an adult, I go towards the more, I mean, Twilight's not really, I mean, it is, but it's like whatever. But and excuse me, I'm old enough here to be a Twilight OG. Thank you very much. Okay, I take pride in the fact that I had to wait for each one of those books to come out.
Yep.
And anyway, yeah,
Yep.
I feel you. But I actually don't read a lot of romance books. I prefer fantasy, romantasy kind of. So even though I write romance.
Hey, it's if you read the genre you want to get into, that also helps because it does kind of work your brain on maybe verbiage and concepts and figuring out the tropes set in that particular genre that you may not think of in the one you write. So it's all setting it up for the future if you want to expand. But let me ask, do you ever sell direct? I know some of the people we've hung out with before do have direct shops and all that. Do you do anything like that right now, or are you still just going through other routes because it takes a lot of space, time, and energy to have those physical copies?
Yes. So I have everything set up. I have a website, I have a shop. I even went as far, I was trying a lot of the things, and you know this, a lot of the things that you do as indie authors is you try to jump on trends. You try to jump on trends when they're just starting. That could be the key to a lot of things. And when everybody was doing special editions on TikTok Shop, and it was all of those things, and so I was like, okay, how can I compete? What can I do to make sure that I'm relevant and that people will be like, okay, cool. I don't know this person. When people know me, they're more likely to buy my books. But if they don't know me, I got to catch them when they're, just scrolling. And so I had decided that I was going to hand spray some edges. I don't know if you had the pleasure of seeing, I carry those things around with me in Author Nation the whole time. I had them and I'd whip them out and I'd be like, look at, I did this. Isn't it cool? I showed Ingram Sparks because I was like, listen, your printer sucks. Sorry, can I say that? I don't know. Anyway, I was like, listen, you need to make this better. And they were like, oh, but your edges are cool. And I was like, stop looking at those.
I did see a question pop up for you in particular. Should someone read your books in any particular order? Because some romance, you can read them at any time, or are they, following along stories? So what do you recommend?
Mine in particular are connected standalones, which means that you can read them in order. If you want the most impact for the story, it's recommended to read them in order. However, you can totally read them as is. And I can also say, because you remember the rebranding and making sure that we're following what we want to do. Well, I thought it would be a really good idea to write my first book and do like no spicy scenes or no anything. And then my second one, I was like, oh, well, everybody's writing spice. Let me do that one. So my second one is spicy and my first one isn't. And that makes no sense. It really doesn't make any sense, especially considering they're in a series and somebody's going to read the first one, expect it to not. I'm working on it. Okay.
It's okay. We all learn as we go, and I kind of did not with the spice because I'm not a spicy. I don't write those kind of things, but I've made some errors early on too, kind of like that. I'll get to that in a moment. But before I forget, because I know I'll go on a side tangent until I forget something. Because the reason why I was asking, because if you ever do sell things direct, and you were talking about how flowers make such a big impact, I wonder if there's a way to like attach maybe a fake flower that represents whatever one. And like with a ribbon or something in your book or something, because I was like, that would be cute. See, great minds think alike.
I have flower-themed paper.
Aw, I like
and
that.
then I have, I bought the little dried flowers from Temu.
Yeah.
And so then I wrap it up in the paper, and then I get the little wax melter thingy, and then I wrap it around with some, because this one is the music one, and I have some music ribbon that I wrap around it. I put the little wax. I pre-wax it with the flower because, you don't want to burn your book, and then I just glue it on after. But yes to all of that. I have done, and you can totally buy a book from me. You buy it on my website, and I will ship it and sign it and dedicate it and throw in a bunch of goodies. I have goodies. Hi, Kelsey. I see you down there. And I don't know if I showed you these or not, but I have character art. So this is why you buy from the author. This is why.
See, that's why I need to do more character art for my books, because I try my best to make sure they're worthwhile by giving them lots of extra goodies, but I haven't invested enough in character art, especially for all the different series. So it gets expensive. So I'm kind of like saving a budget so I can do some more stuff, but like that's gorgeous.
I got on Fiverr and I found someone on Fiverr to do it. And I have had really good luck. I also went on Canva and made some stickers. And so I have stickers that I designed. I think they're cute. I hope other people think they're cute, and then I just printed them with like sticky brand or whatever. And yeah, but that's why you buy from the author, is because of that.
Exactly.
But yes, I am in the process of changing I'm editing through my first book to put in spicy scenes to make it like a little bit more spicy so that they match. And then I also offer a cleaner version of my second book if you don't want spice. And that one's already done, but I pulled that one off of Amazon and I'm just going to offer it on my website. Because if somebody really wants, to read the story and not have that, then they can. I mean, it's already done. I already paid for a cover. I already have all of the stuff for it. And I'm like, why did I do this? Because I thought it was a good idea. And I wanted to make sure that it was available for everybody. But I think it's going to cost me more money than what. But that's fine. That's fine. So mistakes were made. We're learning. We're moving on.
It's okay. My first series, kind of mentioning, is something similar, though, again, not with the spice content. It was the fact that my first book, the way I wrote it, I originally was trying to make a standalone. I didn't realize it was going to be a 4-book series. And so it does read very much like a standalone, which is fine. But the rest of the series flows easily and smoothly into each other, and they're a lot darker. So my first book technically qualifies as a YA, though the whole series is new adult. Because it's darker, it's grittier, it has a little more, adult themes, and so marketing is kind of funny because I say it's a new adult series, so a lot of people are like, oh, but the first one is, I was like, yes, but when you get to the others, you'll understand it does get darker, relatively dramatically so, and enough where I'm like, I live and learn.
See, that I think is my biggest problem, is because the way that they are now, I don't know how to market it without being like, hey, just so you know, and, like really being like over the top about it, which is annoying. It'd just be a whole lot better if I could be like, hey, I have a series. It's spicy. It's awesome because I don't suck at writing. And,
Okay, here's something. Never thought of this before, and the romance readers out there could totally tear this apart. But because you already have one that you're writing in the spice, but has a version that's clean, I guess all respect. Wouldn't it be interesting to have a series and you have the not safe for work version, and then you have an alternate cover series where you kind of tweak it enough where you can have like the instant fade to black, so you have 2 versions of the entire series that you can market to 2 different people who will enjoy the core of the story. Some will get the spice and some won't. Yeah.
Exactly what I had it. That was my thought process when I did it. I was like, nobody has done this that I really know of.
Yeah. And
nobody has done it to where they're able to offer their same book and the same work that they've written, but then offer it to 2 completely different
levels of romance
of reading. And so I have the ground of it. We're going to see if I can actually accomplish it.
That would be, I don't know, I think that would be cool. Of course, you have to be very clear, like which one's the not safe for work and which one is the cleaner romance side. I don't know how clean it is, but the less spicy side. But it would be neat because, again, a lot of these romance stories, the core of them, spice aside, is really interesting. Now, obviously, there are some heavy, heavy spice forward books that maybe you can't get away without, but it all depends on the story you're telling.
Well, and there's like there's a way to do it. And I because I do kind of have people covers and then I have flower covers. And that's kind of all over the place right now. I have started including in like my new manuscript, and I went and I reformatted my books actually, and I was like, "Hey, author's note. Does this cover have flowers on it? Perfect. It's spicy. Enjoy. Does this cover have models on the front? Awesome. It's not spicy. Enjoy." So I'm hoping to, and then I have it in the copyright which one it is, which is helpful for me when I'm looking at them and I'm like, which one is that again? I forgot.
But no, it's such, I think that's kind of fascinating that, to do it that way. Now, again, I don't know as the reader what readers would enjoy or if they think that's too frustrating or too confusing. But if it works, that's brilliant because one, you've doubled the amount of.
I know. Well, the whole idea is to create a passive income. You work on something, you make it perfect, and then it continues to help you get the resources to make the rest of them and to keep writing. And if I want to keep writing, I have to have some kind of income. And it almost feels selfish to say that, but it's the reality because I can't afford to do author things without having money. And where do I get that money besides selling what I've already done and what I've already made? So I remember now. What I was going to say was when it comes to romance, this is the hard part. When it comes to romance, your main thing is love. Love and intimacy come hand in hand. And so there's a lot of important emotions and important feelings that happen during intimate moments. And those are the ones that are kind of hard to get around because you're like, okay, when you're with somebody and you're being intimate, you have certain feelings. How can I capture those feelings without being intimate and without those scenes, without those things happening? That's the challenge I face. Other people clearly do it because there's a whole bunch of romance authors out there who don't write spice, and they do it just fine. So apparently I need to stop reading smut.
Read what you're trying to write in is what people say. So maybe you should look up some of the some clean romance and see. But again, it is a fascinating concept to, again, diversify. That's why so many people do invest in special editions and sometimes even multiple versions of special editions because after spending all that time editing, and you spend the money on editing and writing and tweaking and formatting, slapping on a new cover can be expensive, can be a lot expensive, especially if you go extreme with the special edition, do the sprayed edges, do all that kind of, the beveling, all that kind of stuff. But you can get people buy your book multiple times who are your super fans. You can catch people who like one version of the cover and maybe were never interested in the other, who finally you converted them to like a physical format versus ebook. There's a lot of things. And again, as an author, we're trying to get the best bang out of the book. It is true. It is true. It's part of the cause. We want to make the connections with our readers who want them to enjoy and tell the stories and all that kind of stuff. But the only way we can do that most of the time is if we can pay the bills in order to focus on our writing the next book. So,
absolutely. Did you get a chance to meet Willow Winters when she was in Author Nation?
The name sounds so familiar, but I'm horrible with names.
That's okay. Did you attend it was the TikTok panel? Did you go to the TikTok panel with Zach?
Yes.
She was one of the other people on the panel.
Okay. Yeah.
She's romance author. And she has taken that whole concept of I'm going to create special editions for the readers and has perfected it. I swear she has made it to where people are like, hey, I need this kind of cover. She gets it made. She has like her basic object covers. She's got people covers. She has discrete covers. She's got covers that are color coded based off of spice level. She's got an all black series. She's got all white series. She literally has, I think, 6 or 7 different versions of this same book. all to cater to her readers and what they want and how they want the books to be. She has taken that idea, perfected it, and made it her business. Like, it's great.
I do think I recognize, not necessarily, I can't put the face, but I do know, listening to someone talk about doing multiple editions, special editions, so that probably was her. But yeah, no, I did not have the chance to talk to her one-on-one or anything like that. But it is fascinating. And that's one of the things I also was kind of picking brains on, how people create special edition, who they use, what we have access to, what we don't. And I would love to, let's see if this works. I would love to run maybe a Kickstarter or something for a special edition covers of one of my completed series towards the end of the year, and see how that goes, because I love my books. A lot of people like the covers, but they do get dated after a while, and it's also fun to hold something that maybe has, that has the shiny facade, or, all the beautiful images inside. I was talking to one of the companies that produces I think it's Book Vault, one of the ones that produces special editions, and one of the new things they're going to be able to do is print an entire image across your pages of your books. If you want to line them up and have a whole scene across your whole series, once it's done, that's one of the new things they're doing. And I was like, oh, give me.
Can you imagine, though, the time it takes to format that? How long it's going to take to, like, get all of those pieces? I don't know, but that's awesome. And
would it be worth it?
100%. For aesthetic purposes, 100%. If you're putting the man hours in that, then definitely worth it, because, my time is mine that I spend however I want, and sometimes I get lost in the internet. So instead of doing that, I could just be formatting.
I delve into projects that probably I don't need to, but I find fascinating. And so I think that would be, I don't know, that's something that I'm looking into.
Oh, yeah.
That would be gorgeous. I don't know.
You better keep me posted on this one. You better keep me posted. Now, I've heard of, I think it is Brandon Sanderson. Correct me if I'm wrong. I know you read him. Correct me if I'm wrong, but one of his series throughout the book, each chapter heading image changes just a little bit. It's like the tree. Like, there's a tree and it starts off and it's really full and alive, and then slowly the leaves start to fall off as the story. You do know what I'm talking about?
I've seen people do that. I've actually never read Brandon Sanderson at this moment in time. I know. But I have one of his books on my physical, moved finally onto my physical TBR, and I'm also working through Wheel of Time, which I know he wrote the latter ones. So eventually I'm going to be reading him one way or the other. But I have seen some people do that with images, maybe not the headings, but maybe like a little image in the corner. So it kind of, you could almost flip book it and it moves and stuff. And that's fascinating. I don't have wherewithal, time, energy to figure that one out. That's really cool, though.
It is.
Do not have that level of, yeah.
Nope. You're lucky that you're getting images on the chapter headings. That's it. You're lucky you're getting that, because that's about where I'm at. I'm still trying to figure out keywords and categories. So, we do what we can here.
Absolutely. It's the life of an author. It's funny. Okay, actually, let me ask you about, let's start with your first book. Okay. So what was it that made you decide, I'm going to write a book, and how did you choose the characters for your first book? How did they come to you, or how did they?
So, since I grew up writing stories, and the first actual novel that I completed as a teenager was a time travel one where the girl and her best friend go back in time, and anyway, I thought that was what I wanted to do, was write something like that. So I started writing another fantasy book that had all of the things. It had giants and fae, and there was I don't know, I came up with this elaborate thing in my head, and I started writing it, and then I started skipping scenes, and I was just kind of all over the place. But it was a hobby. I never in my wildest dreams thought that I would ever actually publish a book. It was just a hobby that I used to do because I enjoyed it so much. And so I'm getting older. My husband goes through his first deployment. He gets home and, we're settling into how things are going to go. And that was when I was like, I should try and write romance. And I started writing a story and I didn't know how to plot, didn't know what I was doing. I was literally just, hey, I'm going to write a story. And that's what I did. Had no direction whatsoever. I was a total pantser and it totally bit me in the butt because I never finished that story. So my friend that I grew up writing with, she was like, hey, I found this group of writers and they're like self-published and they self-publish their books and, they're doing the things. They're having a retreat. It's only like 3 hours from your house. At this point we were, so I'm from Michigan originally. Both my husband and I are from Michigan, but he had gotten stationed in Virginia and it was in Virginia at the time. And she was like, you should come, just come to this. I already have a hotel room, just show up, come and hang out with other authors and, just maybe get some writing done. And I was like, okay, that sounds really cool. My first child, my oldest, who is almost 7 now, he was only 1. And I was like, husband, can you handle a weekend alone with a 1-year-old? And he was like, oh yeah, sure, go. It'll be fun, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. There was a lot of fun adventures for that. I digress. So I go, all of these really talented, independently published authors that are just working together. And, they're talking about, there was different sessions that were hosted, on a much smaller level than Author Nation, but it was inspiring and I felt like I learned so much. And I'm sitting in there and music is one of the things that inspires me the most. I listen to music all day, every day, and it's different lyrics. I'm a huge Taylor Swift fan. I know, basic, right? However, like everybody else, her lyrics to me are on point, especially some of her new ones. Just the way that she is able to take a sentence and say something without saying it at all, like, kind of like she's a writer. She is a writer and she's so talented. Anyway, I digress. Swiftie here, listen to music, and I heard a song, and it was actually an Ed Sheeran song. And there was just something about the emotions that were in the song, and I was like, I want to write a character that is experiencing those emotions. I want to write a character that feels that. How can I write a character that who feels that? So then my first character, his name is Jamie McIntyre, and he is a combat controller in the Air Force, and that is how he was born.
I like that.
Yeah. And then I actually published because I had friends that were like, hey, this is what you do. And then I was like, oh, wait, really? You really think that me could do this? And yeah, stay with people, or people, like-minded people. They're the ones that are going to inspire you and help push you. And
yep, nope. And yeah, sorry about the scratchy throat. Sorry. That's here. But I do agree, when you build a community of supporters when you're going through the writing process, that's practically essential. Some people don't even do it, but the amount of information, support, and ideas, and that is incredibly helpful for anybody who's trying to become an author, indie or traditional or hybridized or whatever. I did see a couple of things come up. One was thanking your husband for your service and you for your support, and the other one was asking, who are our favorite authors? So would you like to answer that one first?
See, this is another really hard question, because I know it's so difficult, because I'm like, okay, because I love books. So not only am I an author, I am a huge reader. You talk about the person who is going to buy multiple copies of the same book because they like all the... That's me. I have so many extra copies. Anyway, my favorite author, there's been a couple authors that have influenced me in the way that I write because I admire them and the way that they have captured my emotions, and they might not be for everybody. But one of them is L.J. Shen. I really like the way that she writes. I like the way that she captures the angsty, like, tragic hero. I think she does it really well, and I really like her. She's a romance author. If you had to ask me about my fantasy one, I don't know that I could answer that one right now because there's a lot of them, right, that I'm...
Yep. No, I get that. When I get asked that question, it's my answer is kind of funny for most people because for years and years and years, I read what I like. And interestingly enough, it wasn't fantasy. It was the precursors to it. So I would read the ancient sagas and Eddas and the Iliad. I love this wall of books, by the way.
I have an in-home library. There's a ton of imagine having to move all of this because again, military spouse here. We move a lot.
I love that.
Yes.
But yeah, so it's hard for me to answer because most of the stuff that I really enjoy doesn't either have an author that people know of, recognize. I just like those stories. Now, moving more to current stuff, and then when I started joining the book talk community, however many years ago, I challenged myself to read a little more iconic fantasy and more, concurrent new stuff. And I guess right now, if I had to answer that, I would say I really like certain types of mythic retellings. I write them too. So Madeline Miller's Circe, I really love that book. I thought that was very fascinating. I thought she did really well researching the myth and making it approachable for a modern audience. And since it is a romantic, there is romantic elements out there for people who like that. But on the indie side, my friend Jason Duro, I read his book and I'm just like mind-boggling. It's a chonker. It is huge. But his is Akathar's Greatest Trick is his first one. And it is a political intrigue fantasy, and with I think 13 POVs, and so much goes on. When I read his book, I was like, how is this your debut book? I feel like you've been writing for 35 years.
Oh my gosh.
So I do recommend him as well because I just was mind blown. I'm still mind blown about his skill set. So who do I want to be when I grow up? All these fantastic people.
Right? And I know, and it's like you read. So I try to read a lot of the book talk popular books because again, when I read a book, I enjoy it. I can kind of base how much I'm really enjoying a book, how well, if I'm analyzing it and I'm like, okay, well, this isn't well done, then I'm like, okay, I'm not really enjoying this book that much. If I'm totally lost in it and, can't focus on anything other than story, I'm like, yes, this is a great book. And then I'm like, oh, stop, take notes. Figure out what it is. What is it that they did to make me feel like that? What emotions were the ones that captured me? And so I try to read what's popular so then I know what I need to do to make sure that my books are capturing the attention of the readers. And yes, I don't even know. We just had our moved. We just moved here from Germany, and I swear at least 25% of our weight was for my books alone.
Yes. I was gonna say anytime we used to move my relatively regularly just as renters. We would try to find the better place or everything. I lived in New Orleans also, so if one house floods, we're moving to another. It was a thing. It really was. Now coming to Georgia, we moved. We had a few years looking for a house. We just bought a house, so hopefully we're not moving anytime in.
Yes.
Here. But it is. So much of that weight is books. Because, these are just the ones that I sell of my own, but I have my own libraries, and then I need more bookshelves because I have way too many books for the shelves that I have, and I want floor to ceiling, the beautiful things.
Please build. See, my husband is enlisted. He's enlisted. He is in E7 now. So we are getting close to retirement. He has 6 years left. And I am counting down the days until I can finally have a house that's mine. And I can put my built-in bookshelves. I can have my actual library / office instead of because I can't put anything permanent in because I'm just going to move. And yeah, that's one of the reasons why I don't super distribute my books. I don't push that a lot right now. It's just because we just moved. So I've got about 2 to 4 years here in this house, which is fine. But when I was in Germany, I didn't have the capabilities of buying the books, having them at my house, and then shipping them out because I was technically on German territory. They don't allow you to use can't speak, US-based businesses to use like the APO and ship stuff out that way. I would have had to go through German post and pay taxes and do all of those things. So yeah.
But I have to think, I saw this recently, I think it was on Instagram. I don't know how well this functions. I will just say, aesthetically, I've seen better bookshelves, but this was just wowing. There was one, it looked like a wall-to-ceiling bookshelf across a whole wall, but they were on rollers and they folded, so it was like opening shutters, and then they folded to the side, and then you could fold them back, and it covered the wall. And I was just like, that is so cool, because they would like shutter up and then show the windows behind it, and I was just like, yes, this is fascinating.
One day, you said, retellings. My very first published work that was actually published was a short story in an anthology, and it was fantasy. Or kind of fantasy. It was a retelling of Belle, and Belle has always been my favorite Disney princess because she had the giant library, and books are my life. And so I want Belle's library, and I sure as heck better have a ladder that I can go across, because I'm short and I can't reach anything. So I need a ladder that I can, and you're going to see me when I'm like 60 years old, and I'm just going to be on my ladder, going this way, going this way, going this way.
Living the dream, book dream.
I can only hope.
Well, the hour is starting to speed by, and I do have a couple questions I always like to ask. First and foremost, since everybody's thinking about it, especially now that book tech is most likely going away for people in the States, where can people find and follow you outside of this platform? So do you have a website? Do you have a newsletter? What other socials are you on at this moment in time?
I do have a website. My website is authornterry.com. You can find me on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. All the same handle. Those should all be author Nicolette Terry. You can also email authornterry@gmail.com. People can send me an email, find me that way. You asked me one more. Hold on, I'll remember. Huh?
Newsletter.
Yes, I do have a newsletter. I am learning.
It's okay.
But I have one. You just aren't going to get a lot from me, so maybe it's the perfect newsletter to be on, because I don't really know what I'm doing. So you sign up for it, and then you'll get something whenever I actually figure out how to do it. But I was telling you about my new reader magnet that it should be done. I think like my editor has it right now. It should be done by the end of the week, early next week. It's spicy, but you can sign up and you can get it for free. So there's a lot of things that if you sign up for my newsletter, you can get for free, because I don't know what I'm doing, so I just give stuff away.
And that's the thing is, one, when you have a reader's magnet, which is again the freebies, for people who don't know that terminology, that's always nice, because one, it gives people a taste of what you write, your style, and they can decide if they really do enjoy your work. Right. And having a newsletter, again, with socials, you never know when they're going to be around, when they're not. That's your direct line of communication between you and your reader that you own. And that's why they are important, even though a lot of people are like, it's another newsletter. I get it. I have my first newsletter for the year launching next Tuesday, releasing next Tuesday. I called launching because I just redid my whole newsletter setup, so it looks a little sleeker. I've also added a function, which is really cool, where it's interactive. And so we're going to co-create a story together. So I put a couple lines of a story and then give them a voting choice. And whichever choice gets voted on the most will be incorporated into another few lines or another paragraph of the story. And then I pose a question. And so newsletter by newsletter, we're going to, as a group, co-create a story together. I thought that is
really cool. That's a really neat idea. I bet your readers are really going to like that one.
I hope so. It was not my idea. Someone told me that, and I was like, can I utilize that? They're like, yes. And I was like, I'm going to figure this out. It took me a while.
I've seen that, that a lot, as people are like, oh, well, people are taking everybody's ideas. And I'm like, well, there really there's not a whole lot of organic ideas. People pretty much you get something, you're inspired by something, and then you kind of come up with your own version of it. So I hear you.
Yeah, and if I find something that I kind of want to keep close to whatever I found, I don't mind asking him, like, hey, is it okay if I utilize this? I did that the other day because there was an author who did this really cool slide series about what is Patreon, what you get out of it, all for hers. And since I'm about to kind of officially launch mine, I was like, can I do something really close to this? And she was like, yeah, of course. And I was like, thank you. I just wanted to ask because I never want someone to be like, how dare you? On the other hand, like you said, most ideas aren't truly unique. They're variations of each other. I get it, but I always try to do the courtesy. If I can, I will try. But, that's that. Another question I'd like to ask, and this is also because if this app's typically been nice, there have been a couple of glitches. I will quickly download this probably tomorrow and repurpose it on my YouTube, so I'll put all your information down below for people to find and follow you going forward. But where can people get your books? You mentioned you do kind of sell some direct, but outside of that, are you exclusive through, well, more or less exclusive through Zon? Are you wide? Where can people find your books?
I'm on them, the Big Brother company, if you know what I'm talking about. I'm in KU, so all of my books, like most in my genre, are all in KU. So even if you have that subscription, you can read them there as well. So I'm on there. That's probably right now. If you really don't care about getting it right from me, then that's probably going to be your best bet. But I am hoping to eventually move away from that because I like my money. Yeah. And they're not really the nicest about it, so.
Well, yeah, I do know, depending on like in KU, they give you a decent cut compared to a lot of other platforms if you're doing ebooks. And if you're on the romance, romantasy side, KU is...
It's where you need to be.
Yeah, more or less. Mm-hmm. And so, unlike Nia's epic fantasy or second world high fantasy stuff, I can give and take it. And I was there for a while, and I will have to say I was making more when I was in it, but I pulled away to go wide because I do want to spread out and be able to start reaching people. Absolutely. It's also taking me a long time to figure out how to move wide, so that didn't help either. Like I said, hopefully by next month, I will have all my ebooks and most of my audio wide.
This wouldn't be as fulfilling if we didn't constantly make mistakes and shoot ourselves in the foot.
Everyone. I feel like I could write not a how to be a writer, but what not to do.
There should be something, and it should be like a collective work of all of the indie authors and be like, okay, here's what you don't do this. I don't know the right way to do it, but don't do it this way, okay?
That would be my how-to book. It's how to not book.
Right.
Yeah, literally, right. Don't stop. Yes, how to not do these things. That would be the only way I could do pseudo-educational anything. But that's fun. Actually, let me ask again, because the hour is quickly racing by. Is there any topic that you wanted to cover that we didn't cover? And this goes for anybody who's listening as well. Are there any notifications of like events or special things happening that you wanted to announce? And is there any question you had that you need to ask?
I'm really just trying to get my first book re-released, get my third book going, and I've got my new reader magnet now, which will hopefully be done by next week, which will be, I think, a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun writing it, and the two characters, they've got a little something there. So just be warned, though, that I won't actually, so it's like kind of like a prequel. So you get the little snippet of their story, and then, they part ways because it's a short story. So then they part ways, but then they don't come back together. Of course, the world's going to it's romance land. We know what's going to happen. So they're going to come back together. I end the short story with how they're going to get back together. You just don't, know when. And I won't be able to write that book probably until the end of the year. So just know that going in. But no, I'm just working.
And having a short story that relates to something that you're either currently writing or going to write are great things too, because you get people excited about it. And then when you release said book or series, then, people are really interested. And that's kind of the approach I did for my Facebook readers group, my VIP readers. I, every year, let them create a monster for one of my future books. But as a reward for building this creature for me, as a, again, collaborative group thing, I write them a short story that's exclusive to them for a while, and then I moved to my newsletter, as part of the thing, freebies, and the next one I'm going to, after I gift it to them, I think they're going to have 3 months exclusive rights, probably shift it over to my Patreon now that I have that, but they're all going to be pertaining to this future world that I'm world building, so
that's really cool.
I think it's kind of neat, and it gives you ideas too.
I love the idea, and again, this is why indie authors and small people like us are the best authors, because not only do we give you a bunch of cool stuff when you buy from us, but like we're touchable, we're reachable. You want to talk to me about things? I'm more than send me a message. Let's chat. I'm more than happy to sit down and talk to anybody. I have made some really, really good friends by just having somebody read my book. They reach out to me and they're like, hey, I really liked this. And I'm like, awesome. What else do you like to read? Tell me more. And that's just kind of that's what makes up being us so cool.
Yeah. Yes. Cool Kids Club, as I stumbled across. I'm a writer, not a speaker, everyone. So.
Yes, or a speller. That's what spell check's for. I'm really bad at spelling.
Definitely that too. Definitely that. but yeah, no. The weaknesses I think most of us authors have. Spelling, some grammar. It's okay. The good thing about being indie though is, after all is said and done, you have the editors, you have your beta readers, and if anything gets through, which there is guaranteed something going to get through, even happens with traditional, we can quickly edit it and instantly, more or less, change it everywhere.
Yes, we have much more control. It can be fun. However, remind me that when I'm at my computer at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, remind me how fun it is and how much I like it, okay? Because those are the moments where I'm like, why am I doing this?
That's true. Yeah, that's very true. But no. Okay, let me ask you about actually going forward, because we're at January, so we have a full year-ish ahead of us. Are you intending to do any face-to-face events as an author, be it, again, more the Author Nation education side, or just book signings or stuff like that? Or is there anything that you would like to do, even if you don't have it truly planned?
I would like to get out. I think sometime more towards maybe the summer, the end of the year, I'm going to try to get and reach out to local community and see about just showing up and talking, bookstore, anything small. Those things kind of intimidate me because I'm always afraid, I'm going to go here, I'm going to do this, and then I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to stare at people as I walk by and look at me like, oh, that girl, what is she doing? So those things kind of scare me for that reason. I will be at Author Nation. I already got my ticket. I don't know if you're planning on going again, but yeah, I'll see you there.
Okay, actually, quick side tangent. They haven't said anything about the hotels, right? Because I have not seen anything. Did I miss it? Okay.
No, but I'm anxiously awaiting. I want to know what, the hookup for Paris is, because Paris is a little bit farther, but if it's a little bit nicer, I don't know that I'm going to be that upset. We'll see.
Yeah, keep an eye out. But yeah, that's always a fun thing. But sorry, I was curious. But yeah, doing anything, starting small, that's a great thing to do. And local bookstores, indie bookstores, they like having reasons for people to come through their doors and support them. So I say go for it.
Are you going to be anywhere?
I have, I've started a few years ago getting into doing conventions and cons, and so I have 3 this spring, late winter, spring for the year, and then 2, one for sure in the fall. I've applied for a couple others in the fall too. I'm still waiting to hear. So I know I'm going to be at 4 different events, being panelist and selling books in and around. All of them are in and around the Atlanta area because that's where I'm from, but the biggest one, most recognizable, is Dragon Con, so I'm always at that one. So
I'm gonna 1 year. I don't write fantasy, but I read it. 1 year, I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be there 1 year. Okay.
It's not just fantasy; it's any nerddom. So anything.
oh, I'm here for that. I'm here for the nerddom.
Fan, you like that? You like? I mean, there's something for everybody there.
Nope. Not a nerd here. Okay. Don't judge me.
It is the East Coast, more or less, version of Comic-Con. So, it's a little bit of everything for everybody. So I love that one. It's a fun one. And it does pull some really cool authors from around the world that show up in that one all the time. So it's another great one to network and be a part of whenever you get the chance. I highly recommend. Plus, it's fun.
Well, I mean, and it's always nice to know that when you go that you're going to know people. So
I was going to say, until they ever reject me, I'm usually in attendance there when some formers function. So I'm excited about it.
Okay, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. So anyway,
I love it. Okay, well, we've reached the end of the hour, and the reason why I cut these about an hour, because that's when my dogs get fussy, because I put them down to the nap, or else they would be everywhere. So I do need to let them out and get them up and running again. One's a pseudo puppy, so that's just the way life is. But thank you for coming out and hanging out with me, and I want to say this will be a very bittersweet one if this is my last live on this platform. I will be moving things, if that's the case, over to Instagram, so if you ever want to do another one of these, I'll be doing them somewhere. Most likely IG, if not here. But, it's been nice to catch up again, because I have always just, you're so bubbly and so vibrant, and every time I've met you, and just a fascinating.
Sometimes I'm like, okay, settle down. So yes, bubbly, vibrant, and very much in your face is just kind of how it works. But hey.
I feel like that's how I am when I am released into the wild and outside of my home office.
I mean, you gotta let yourself out every now and then, anyway. But yeah, no, definitely. This has been a lot of fun, and I appreciate you letting me come on here and talk incessantly. And definitely just let me know. I'll be around. I'll make sure that I think I am following you on all of the other ones, but if not, I'll go and I'll make sure. I also have all the links in my, the thing underneath my picture, that thing. Yeah, they're there.
Because I will be taking them so I can put this up on YouTube and hopefully sharing it with people potentially next week. So we'll see.
Okay, cool. Let me know.
Thanks for hanging out, and thanks for everybody who's been joining in and hanging out with us as well. I always love people chatting and giving us questions and prompts, because then I don't have to always think on the go. And until next time, everyone, if there is one.
Aww,
I know, it's so sad.
I don't know how to